Hello everyone, so the second video about Crimson Desert, and already halfway through the main campaign. I have put 40 hours into Crimson Desert, 40 hours, and honestly I still don't know what to think about this game. But that's exactly why I'm here, because if a game keeps me thinking, there is something worth paying attention to. Let's figure it out together. First, who's behind this game once again? So when they announced Crimson Desert, an offline single-player action RPG, a lot of us raised an eyebrow, Could a team with that background make something fundamentally different? Something more focused, more personal, And after 40 hours I answer, I don't know. Yes and no, and that tension is the whole story. Because from the very first minute, the MMORPG never left. Those exclamation marks over characters, an open world, the size of a small country, crafting, alchemy, blacksmithing, hunting, NPC minigames, arm wrestling, gambling, and so far, etc., etc. Hundreds of mechanics sitting side by side. That's not inherently bad, but it immediately raises a serious question. Where is the story? This is where my biggest issue with this game began. Our hero is Cliff, a warrior, a man of very few words, Someone who walks up to anyone, helps everyone, asks no questions, shows no emotion. He does whatever he is told to do. His only goal, reclaim his land and defeat Mjordin. After 40 hours, I still don't know who Cliff is as a person. I know what he wants, I don't know why I should care. Mjordin, the main antagonist, defeats us right now in the opening minutes. Classic setup, okay? It should spark anger, a need for revenge, some kind of emotion, but it doesn't. Because we know nothing about either of them. No backstory, no relationship, no context, unfortunately. And while we wait for that context, the game gives us quests. Help this person deal with bandits, meet that character somewhere, build up the clan's reputation. Quest after quest, no tension, no emotional stakes, no real reason to care. But, and this is important, there is an exception. The supporting cast, Neira, for example, sharp, difficult, the kind of person who asks Cliff to find a homeless dog new home. A small detail, but through it we see a woman hiding real sensitivity under a hard exterior, okay? Marius, he's kind of really difficult man and with a difficult experience in life. Damien, a warrior with her own secret that starts to unfold in the second half, right? And Unka. When the game gave me the chance to play as him, I felt something I hadn't felt playing as Cliff in 40 hours. I wanted him to be the main character, actually. And that's a symptom. When the supporting cast is more compelling than the protagonist, something is wrong with the narrative, I think. Okay, but here is where Crimson Desert genuinely impresses without question. During the day, this game looks like a work of art, tundra, forests, fields, mountains, palm tree deserts, transitional regions with extreme weather, deer running through meadows, rabbit hiding in the grass, butterflies drifting between flowers. When you climb a mountain and look down at this whole living, detailed world, you understand how much work went into it. During the day, this is one of the most beautiful open worlds I have ever seen. And rain is its own conversation. Rain in Crimson Desert wrapped the screen in a veil so thick that visibility drops to just a few meters around your character. Right now we're seeing everything in a twilight, but basically when we will have, if night and rain hit at the same time, when we will have a combination of those two things, you simply cannot play normally. Not because it's hard, because you can see. This isn't a design choice, guys. It's a bug that somehow made it through the entire development cycle. Okay, but then night falls and something goes very wrong. The contrast drops so severely that you can barely see anything. Your character becomes a dark shape against a dark background. This isn't atmospheric darkness like in Souls game. This is a technical issue. I checked other players' screenshots. Same picture everywhere basically. Night in Crimson Desert isn't an experience-defining gameplay. It's an annoying obstacle. The combat system in Crimson Desert is a fascinating paradox though. On paper it's massive. Basic attacks, combo chains, special moves, a skill tree with dozens of abilities, artifacts, magic. You could spend an hour just discovering what your character can actually do. But here's the problem. In practice, most of those abilities are necessary, but because they are bad, but because the game structure does not give you room to use them. Here's what the real fight in Crimson Desert. Here's what a real fight in Crimson Desert looks like. 15 to 30 and more enemies in front of you at once, coming from every direction. You have no time to think, no time to choose. So you do the same thing over and over. Light attacks, dodge heavy attacks occasionally, and you know what? It works perfectly. And it's how most of the game gets played. But there is another side to this. When the numbers are small, 1, 2, maybe 3 enemies, the combat system suddenly opens up. You start feeling the rhythm. Attack, counter, dodge at the right moment. It's meditative, it's satisfying. You can easily lose an hour or two just farming mobs without noticing time pass. The system is there, the potential is there, but the game doesn't let you fully explore it, because it keeps throwing crowds at you. But generally speaking, combat system is great. Now let's talk about what happens between fights. And here, Crimson Desert has a serious time balance problem. Geo progression is the foundation of survival in this game. Every piece of equipment can be upgraded to level 10, 11, whatever. But the higher level, the rarer the materials. That's logically, right? The later upgrade levels require, or that only exists in endgame areas, artifacts that are simultaneously needed for character upgrades, and materials that take hours to collect. Without upgrading your gear, bosses and even regular enemies become a serious problem. So upgrading is not optional, it's a requirement. So you spend 10 hours not on story but on gathering resources. 10 hours out of 40, until you will beat the half of the game. A quarter of your total time. And then there is another green element that rarely gets mentioned: food. Before every major boss, you need a supply of cooked meat, 100 to 200 pieces. Okay, because during the fight you eat it to restore health constantly, every few seconds if needed. Before a tough boss, that can mean another 15 minutes of hunting animals and cooking. I understand why the developers build it this way, but the feeling it creates is that boss difficulty is balanced around how much food you bring, not how well you play. That's not challenge, that's resource management. The bosses themselves are visually impressive as far as you can see. Multiple phases, unique attacks in each phase, the design on most of them is generally good. They're fast, aggressive, they hit hard. If the combat system were balanced without food as the primary survival tool, these fights would be a real test of skill. But there is a technical problem that ruins even the good fights. Target lock and just a mechanic of movement. During combat, your character suddenly moves in a wrong direction. The gamepad sends the command, the character responds with a delay or responds incorrectly. You lose health not because of a mistake, but because of a technical glitch. This is the biggest technical issue with the combat system right now, and it happens in every single fight. In the first half of the campaign, I defeated over 10 bosses, and honestly most of them were not a problem. The first boss, Excavatron, which we are seeing right now, took me the most attempts. Not because he is the hardest, but because at that point I had no gear upgrades and no understanding of the food mechanic. The moment I understood the system and stocked up on meat, I cleared him on 3 or 4 tries. And after that, not a single boss where I died more than once or twice. Not one. So, 40 hours, half a campaign. What can I say? Crimson Desert is a controversial game, and it looks like it will stay that way to the end. For every strength there is a weakness. For every weakness, something that pulls you back in. But generally, I like this game. Even with all of those minuses and downsides, I really like this game. And I would like to invest even more time in it. Stunning visuals during the day, it's a great plus. Yes, we have a disaster at night and in the rain. We have a combat system that deep on paper but rarely lets you use that depth, but we have supporting characters who feel alive and a main character who still feel empty. Yes, we have all those minuses, but we have really great visuals. We have a fantastic combat system. With all those minuses, still fantastic. We have boss fights which looks great and fascinating. Yes, we have problems with food and with those mechanics, but still the bosses are really fascinating. And here's what surprised me and frustrates me most of the time. This game clearly has great potential, real potential, serious potential to be a magnificent masterpiece. And I believe it is. It's almost there. It feels like the developers took that potential and spread it across 100+ hours of gameplay. Instead of showing you the best of what this game can be from the very beginning, they make you invest time on the promise that it gets better. Maybe it will, maybe. I hope so. I'm looking forward to it. This is not a bad game. It's not a masterpiece yet, but almost there. It's something in between but leaning towards to the greatness, with the potential to be something much better. Whether that potential gets realized in the second half, I'm going to find out. And I will tell you about this. If you're already playing, drop a comment. What surprised you most, good or bad? Subscribe. The final verdict comes after I finish the campaign. Then you see. Have a nice time, guys, and see you later.